AWS outage spotlights the global economy's fragile foundations, going back to it. But Amazon Web Services, the biggest cloud computing provider, went down Monday morning, crippling thousands of services from some of the biggest companies on earth. Yeah, a bunch of companies went down apparently. Everything is connected. Everything is interconnected to AWS, obviously. Hold on, let's remove this paywall real quick. AWS outage was DNS, is always DNS. Cloud engineer who uses AWS daily. US East 1 data center in Northern VA is AWS's most capacity and most used region by far. If that one has issues, even a seemingly minor one, then that can cascade and cause significant problems throughout the internet, since a lot of companies host their sites on US East 1 specifically, maybe other regions as well. Yeah. Everything's computer. Everything is Amazon Web Service. But obviously, this highlights how fragile the internet is. AWS outage spotlights the global economy's fragile foundations. Axios reports AWS, the biggest cloud computing provider, went down Monday morning, crippling thousands of services from some of the biggest companies on earth. Why it matters: for all its complexity and size, the global economy is fragile. Breaking just one weak link drives big disruptions online and in the real world. This is also something that is important to recognize in terms of how much labor power exists out there. Okay? Because of our incredibly interconnected system, even one sector in the supply chain can cause major disruptions. Something very important to consider for the labor movement that remains in this country. Okay? Just understand, this is why I always say we have a lot more power than we think we do at our disposal in terms of gumming up the works, in terms of making demands. It's just that capital owners recognize that, which is precisely the reason why they've done everything in their power to disrupt any sort of labor militancy before it ever happens, and ruin any attempts to even create a network of pressure in the form of labor unions that could ever do collective bargaining or work stoppages. Okay? Why it matters: for all of its complexity and size, the global economy is fragile. Where it stands: Amazon's East Coast region, responsible for a lot of the internet, was the culprit. Zoom, Venmo, WhatsApp, and many gaming, banking, social media, and consumer sites saw large spikes in reported outages, according to the tracker Down Detector. The East Side, the site said more than 11 billion people worldwide reported issues with more than 2,500 companies as of 12:45 p.m. EST. This was the biggest AWS outage of the year. Amazon said it addressed the problem, but as of early afternoon on the East Coast, many websites were still experiencing disruptions. Just three massive cloud providers, Amazon, Microsoft, and Google, serve as the technical backbone of the internet. Millions of people and thousands of companies rely on each one. This is a recent phenomenon. Businesses used to have their own data centers, but outsourcing that infrastructure to big cloud companies is cheaper and more efficient. Between the lines, computer systems have always had glitches or failed. What's different now is the centralization risk, says Corey Quinn, chief cloud economist at Duckbill, an AWS consulting firm. This is a problem with corporate consolidation. This is a problem with every sector. Corporate consolidation is exactly what every mega company wants to do. All companies want to merge and acquire one another until they're one ginormous singular force, okay? At least an oligopoly, or at best a monopoly. And right now on the cloud server, like web hosting side, we have, as the Axios article correctly reports, three major providers. That's it. You have Microsoft, you have Google, and you have Amazon. Amazon AWS, Microsoft's is Azure. I don't know what Google's is called. I guess it's just Google. I don't even know what the it's called, right? Google Cloud Platform. Thank you. Okay, so those are the three major service providers that are basically the backbone. That's why it's like virtually impossible to protest or refuse to be off of like the Amazon train in its entirety. This is something that I've described to people when they're like, you work for Amazon, like you're literally a direct participant in Amazon's cruelty. And it's like, there is virtually no way outside of utilizing Amazon Web Services. Okay. So this is part of the reason why a lot of these services, if they are going to become monopolies, need to be controlled by the government. That's at least my assessment. That's at least my take on this. Okay. Because otherwise, we have delegated tremendous power to a handful, a bunch of different capital owners, under the notion that as long as they continue to be incentivized by the profit generation structure, they won't fuck around and use this awesome power against us. The big picture: it takes a crisis to make invisible pieces of critical infrastructure visible, both online and in the physical world. During COVID, we all got the lesson and importance of the supply chain, learning that silicon chips power much of our stuff, and basically just one island, Taiwan, makes them. The crisis also uncovered the overall fragility in the just-in-time economy, where business kept just enough inventory on hand so any delay could cause massive disruptions. We effectively try and squeeze all the fat out of various interactions. At some point, you start getting to the bone, Quinn says. Yes, but these outages happen to Amazon infrequently, says Mike Chappell, who teaches cybersecurity at the University of Notre Dame. There was also a major disruption in 2021 that affected everything from Disney parks and Adele ticket sales, Bloomberg reported at the time. Most companies design their services with fail-safes. They can handle breakdowns. That's far more expensive for smaller firms. They are more susceptible. Amazon is investigating the cause of Monday's outage. Axios' Avery Lotz reports cybersecurity and cloud experts said the company typically does a deep dive and learns from its mistakes. Hopefully, you never have the same kind of failure happen twice, Chappell says. From what I understand, there's still parts of this that haven't been like completely solved, completely fixed, and we'll see where it goes. But I just wanted to look into it a little bit further.